it down. I climb a mountain and I turn around. I saw my reflection in a snow-covered hills, and a landslide brought us down. Oh, river in the sky, what is love? I to rise above, because we knew the legends of mountains, and I sing you the reasons of my life. I don't know. Weedy bee! Weedy bee! Weedy bee! Up here! He can't look up, the sun is in his eyes. Look at my baby! I love you. What? You're gonna leave him right there? Yeah, you can't leave him in there by himself. Are you crazy? Poppy, wait a second. Put him on over here, away from the exhaust. Because the wind is gonna, the exhaust, when you turn the truck on, the exhaust is gonna blow near him. Put him over there on the other side. Right there. Right. There you go. He never listens, but that's good enough. Children get older. I'm getting older too. No, I'm not. Oh, I'll never get old. Never. There's my cat. I'm in Never Neverland, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. Barbarisi is Peter Pan. I am Peter fucking Pan. Excuse my language. See my reflection in the snow-covered hills, and a landslide brought down, down. And if you see my reflection in a snow-covered hill, well, maybe the landslide brought down, and now the landslide brought down. Ladies and gentlemen, yesterday was a very hard day for me, as you can probably imagine. Being in front of my mother, the day before, I said that I was going to ask her questions, and I did. I couldn't really I couldn't bring myself to terms with asking her about why she never left that man. He wasn't home, thank God. He came home at the end. That was him, the guy with the gray hair and the beard. And supposedly, Tito was going to back up on him, but I wouldn't give a crap if he did or not. It just was telling him, yeah, he almost did back into him. And I didn't want him to be suspicious that I was recording him, so I acted like the baby was watching cartoons. And then I said to him, yeah, we had to leave. Because honestly, when I do go over there, it's just like everyone knows what happened, but everyone just acts like it didn't. And and my nephews know. They know what happened. Their mother told them, Nydia, because, she was with my brother while all this was going on. So, and she also had my children, so Make sure you buckle him in right with it being loose, not too tight. Weedy bee, it's all right. Don't worry, honey. See, you guys, he's bugging out. Look, look, he's bugging out. All right, honey, don't worry, my love. It's all right. Don't worry, baby. Easy. Easy does it. Weedy bee, you gotta go in the car seat, honey. Mommy's not in there. Even if I was, he should be in there. I know, guys. Oh, Lord. It's going to be a beautiful day in New York today. It's going to go up to 68 degrees, ladies and gentlemen. Jeez. Bring out the Daisy Dukes. No, I don't wear those no more. I used to wear them, but since I had my son, I stopped wearing that kind of thing. You know, you got to have some kind of respect for yourself and your mother. I mean, if there's any much respect as an ex-prostitute can have, a.k.a. sex worker. I mean, it is what it is, guys. But, yeah, I couldn't, I mean, I did say it to her, but I didn't have the phone recording because she was looking at it. I tried to pull a fast one, and I asked her if Mike was still on Megan's list. Megan's list is, I just looked it up, and I'm going to do it more now when they pull away. I just want to make sure my son was safe. Because me and Tito are going through a little bit of, you know, a rough patch. You know, he takes really good care of his son, not that. I want to make sure that, because sometimes Tito is absent-minded, and, you know, like I had to tell him to bring him, because you see the exhaust, right? Now, if the wind is blowing a certain way and the baby's, like, right adjacent to where the exhaust is, you know, it can blow on the kids, and you don't want that. I mean, I'm always thinking of everything. That's just me. I'm not paranoid, just very precautious. And I've always been that way. Jeez. People really throw everything out the window in this place. Jeez. So, yeah, it was very, very touchy situation. And you see how my mother, she tried to overlook the abuse when we were little. But, you know, I talked to her before I did the interview. I said, Mom, listen, I said, I'm going to need to ask you some things about, you know, our childhood and my past and everything. And she agreed to it because, you know, I know she feels guilty. Don't mind the mess, guys. My mother gave us a bunch of stuff and I have to clean it. So, that being said, yeah, it's just, you know, I try.
Every home built before 1975 has cast iron pipes that are failing. Have you experienced water?
Yeah, it's just, you know, I'm sorry guys, someone just sent me a message that was popping up on my phone. Let me just lower this a little bit so you guys can hear me. Look at the toy tower, Casey. Isn't that beautiful, honey? Yes. So, it's like this. You know, I said to her, I said, Mom, listen, I'm going to need to get, you know, I wanted to do that. I didn't need to do any of that. I wanted to do it. And then I just read that Kelly from Soft White Underbelly, she had an interview with, I didn't even know, guys. I was like, what? That is so weird. Like, I was like, no way. She just got, the mom just got an interview in Washington Post. I swear, I had no idea. That was a coincidence, guys. I tell you no lie. I had no idea. I stopped following that story because I didn't see, I don't get notifications for some reason. Like, when I subscribe to people's channels, like, I don't, for some reason, the damn notifications never come out. So I haven't seen any updates on it. I thought they just, like, basically let it slowly die out. But no, her mom, I didn't read the article. But supposedly, you know, Kelly was telling the truth, and I'm happy. I pretty much knew that she was. People fabricate things. Have I fabricated anything? No, I did not. I have not fabricated anything. Everything that I did tell you was 100% the truth, you know. Because I'm older than her. I'm 40 years old. She's 21. And if I was 21 and I was to tell people my true story, maybe I would have exaggerated for attention or any kind of, you know, sympathy, but I'm way past that now, guys. I really am. I have no reason to make anything up. You know, I'm not getting paid for any of this. This is just for my own personal thing. I don't have a large following. It's, you know, it's different. It's different for me. But, you know, she was telling the truth, guys. She was telling the truth, and I'm happy. I'm happy about that. I really am. Like I said, I don't know the whole thing with the mom and the situation at hand. I did find out mother did go to jail, which definitely says a ton right there. That's all you need. The mother went to jail for abuse, guys. Nobody needs any more information than that. Honestly, that just, even if it was just that, that's enough for a kid to go through. And there's some other factors I left out in my childhood. I was supposed to be aborted. My dad brought my mother to an abortion clinic in Queens, and I was supposed to be aborted. And I really have a very hard time with that one. I really don't like to talk about that so much because it's like, I wouldn't be here, guys. I wouldn't even be seeing any of this. Nothing, my life, I would have never existed. So what happened was my mom went to the abortion clinic. She sat on the table. They were doing the examination, ready to proceed, and my mom jumped up and ran out, and my dad had a fit. My dad had a fit, guys. He had an absolute conniption. My dad, at the time, no, he regretted it, guys. He absolutely regretted it. He regretted the fact that he brought my mother to the abortion clinic. He told me straight, he's like, you were supposed to be aborted. He told me just like that. And I never really, when I was little and I was told that, it didn't, like, how could I put it? It just, like, went one ear and out the other. I really never digested or processed that until I got older. Like, maybe in my 30s, like, when I was out there doing drugs, I was like, I would think about that a lot and when people would get abortions, I have to say I am against abortions. I am pro-life. I'm sorry. I feel very, I guess because I was supposed to be aborted, it just makes me feel a certain type of way, and it is murder, guys. Please, I hope nobody takes offense to this. If anyone has had an abortion, I am not judging you. I'm just telling you how I feel. So please do not come after me for that. It is a life, and they have, there was a guy who was an abortion doctor, and he said that he was so numb to it until he realized that that's someone's daughter, that's someone's son, and he pulled out body part after body part, and he pulled out whole small little fetuses, and they're still moving, guys. Those babies, they're babies. It's not just, we are humans from the time of conception, because remember, that's the process that needs to be taken thereof. From the time of conception is the whole process of our development. So how could you say that has nothing to do with us being human beings? Has everything to do with it. Has everything to do with our very first breath when we're in utero developing. So I can't understand the whole concept of people thinking a fetus is just a fetus. A fetus is a baby in development in utero. That's what a fetus is. I mean, if I'm wrong, someone tell me. Without any of that process, we would not be who we are, correct? We would not be fully developed human beings, right? So in order for us to be developed human beings, we have to go through this process in utero, and that takes place in the womb. So it's a very important part of life. It's a part of life where we're still connected to our mother. Our mother feeds us. Our mother, gives us our nutrients through the blood, and it's an amazing process of life. Start to the process of life. It really is. From the very first time of conception, when you see that sperm, and I'm just speaking reality right now. When if you ever seen footage of the sperm fertilizing the egg, it is an absolute, like, a magical, it's like a majestical happening. It is beautiful, and it actually, you see some kind of form of light. It's like an energy of light that forms from, the conjoining two into the one, becoming the one. So it's an amazing creation. God's creations are amazing, and everything He made is amazing. Remember, guys, there's a balance of good and evil, the dark and the light. Can't have one without the other. As above, so below. I know all about that stuff. I know a lot about the secret societies. I know all about the pyramid and the eye and the all-seeing eye, and the Masons and the Illuminati and the Bavarian, before they came here. Well, the presidents were Masons, not all Masons are bad, and I'm sure there are decent ones, but, come on, Skull and Bones, 322, and a lot of these, Ivy League school fraternities, those guys can be pretty rough. Some of them turn out to be really good guys, though. Some of the elitists turn out to be the best ever, and, it's just the opposite poles of me in comparison to them is just such an intriguing factor. It just makes me think a lot. The heart just skips beats. So, you guys are probably like, what am I talking about? Oh, if you guys can just go into the depths of my brain, my mind is really, it's a very deep place. And when I have time to process thoughts, I come up with some pretty cool things. I got a really good imagination. And it's pretty darn good for using drugs all those years. So, like I said, that was my stepfather. He is on Megan's list. He still has to be. I'm going to check the sex registry now. If anybody wants to help me with that, guys, because I know I can Google it, and I'm going to do that right now. But, if anybody feels compelled to help me with that research, I would be so grateful, and help me with the research of my arrest history. I really don't know how to go about that. Like I said, I'm intelligent, but with like different types of things. When it comes to like technological, things, I was off the grid too long, and off the grid, what I mean is on the streets. So that small time frame I lived with my brother, like I said, I was on the streets, Hunts Point. I had pneumonia. I went to Lincoln Hospital. They asked for my mother's number. I gave them my mother's number. They called my mother. They told my mother I was in Graves' condition. That's when my cousin is English Bulldog. My cousin Chrissy, on my channel, her username is English Bulldog. You'll see her. She'll comment sometimes. Her and my mother came out to Hunts Point, not Hunts Point, to Lincoln Hospital, which is in the Bronx, and took me back. My mother came I was in the hospital for like 3 weeks, and then when I had left the hospital on my own, and then I went back because I wasn't healed. I left against doctor's orders, and I went back to Lincoln. I signed myself in, and I wanted to get help, guys. At that point, I wasn't ready to get clean, but I was on the process. It was part of the process, and then 2 years later after that, or 3 years later after that, I wound up, with Tito. So that was in 2010, and I wound up going to Long Island. I spent at least like 6 months living with my brother straight. And it took a long time for me to get in the program on Long Island, at least that long, because there's a waiting list, guys. There's a long way. So my mom had to give me painkillers. I wasn't smoking crack. I was just taking painkillers. My brother was taking a lot of my painkillers. He brought me to doctors because my brother had a problem with pain management. And God rest his soul, my brother was a good guy. That was his son that you've seen, Nene. He is biracial, as you guys can clearly see. He's very, very, very handsome, very smart, very intelligent, and it was a blessing living with them. I felt like my motherhood was restored to some regard because I got to help take care of them, him and his brother, for a little amount of time that it was. So I lived with him from 2010, and I got arrested at the end of 2010, and then I wound up going to jail, and I did 8 months in jail. So I technically was on Long Island for 2 years, but I spent one of those years in jail. 8 months, you do 8 months out of the year. So when I came out of jail, my brother had, my aunt and her husband, God rest his soul, and she's a wonderful person, my aunt, she really is, but I wasn't using yet, and I'm not blaming anybody, no one put a gun to my head, I guess just the cravings came back from being around it, and we went and copped, and that was it, and I just, one night, called a cab, I got my SSI check, and I called, because at that point, I had taken a couple of my SSI checks. I got back pay. Before that, when I was living in the street, guys, my brother Anthony would cash my SSI checks and keep the money. I didn't need it because, guys, I made a killing out on the street. I did. I'm not kidding. I would make up to like $2,000 a day, and everything went to drugs. The whole thing. I had a 3+ bundle a day habit, if not more. So I'd say 80% of that money. I know I'm wiggling, guys. So if anybody's wondering why the camera's moving, Barbarisi wiggles a lot. That's just how I am, and I don't do drugs anymore. Like I said, it's just I've always been like that. And as a matter of fact, when I don't use drugs, I will, and when I did, I didn't. So everything was the opposite for me. So therefore, it's like Ritalin for a child. You know, when a child takes Ritalin, it calms them down, but if someone who doesn't need it takes it, it speeds them up. So when I used to use cocaine, the cocaine would even kill me. I would be my heart, like everything it was just so different. It was more of like a downer for me. It was just so weird. And you know, people can understand that because I am very hyperactive naturally. So it could probably be very well people can understand that, you know, if you come to the conclusion of someone who's hyper that takes an upper, it can work as a downer, and vice versa. Like I said, just think about the Ritalin with the kids, you know. Adults have taken Ritalin and they're speeding around, but you give it to a child who needs it, they're very calm and docile, so it makes perfect sense. I mean, I came to this conclusion myself. A doctor never told me this. I just basically, you know, I figure things out pretty well on my own. I'm a thinker. And here's another thing, guys. So you heard my mother mention Fordham University, and I'm not going to lie. I wanted my mother to be proud of me, and I told my mother I got my GED, and I told her, and it's a lie, I did not. I can't. I don't have the right credentials. I don't have ID. But I wanted her to be proud of me, guys. So I lied to my mom. I told her that I got my GED and I went to Hostas, and from there I'm going to go to Fordham. I mean, I feel like such a liar. And I lied. And I'm a liar. I'm a liar about that. And it's not right, but I wanted her to be proud of me, guys. So if anybody can understand that, you know, yeah. So like I said, I only graduated to the 8th grade, and I went to BOCES in 9th grade, and I wound up leaving because remember I was 16 and I met George, and you know, wound up getting pregnant at 17, and you know, leaving the whole running away from, you know, home, my mother's house with that man. So please, like I said, I have to go, guys. I have to straighten out this mess because I really don't like living in utter clutter and disarray. It drives me crazy. So if anybody, please, I'm asking for help here, guys. If anybody can please. My mom does not watch my channel. What I told her was, I mean, she knows I have a channel, but my mother, I think she's afraid to watch it, honestly, and that's the truth. And, you know, so please, I mean, you don't have to worry about her seeing it or any of this. And my sister's the only one who watches my channel. And, you know, Dee Dee, if you are watching this, you know, I know you might feel uncomfortable in a way, but if you can just leave some kind of comment regarding Mike, that, you know, Mike was, you know, convicted, and Dad put him, you know, tried to put him in jail and everything for what he did to me. You know, I'm sure Dad would be very proud of you if you did that. You know, she doesn't want to upset my mom, but, like, Mom doesn't watch this, so it wouldn't really matter, and it's the truth. So his name is Michael Perry, and, you know, he lives at 860 Skyline Drive, Quorum, New York. That's his address. And if anybody feels compelled to look up if he's still on Megan's list, I would appreciate it. I don't think he could come off of it. I'm going to do my research now. I got to start, you know, getting with this whole research thing, guys. I'm so far behind. I really am. Even though I've been off the street for 8 years, you know, it takes a lot of time to just pick pick up and, get back into normalcy. Like I said, I just stopped using cocaine 3 years ago, guys. I stopped using heroin 8 years ago, which is great, and I'm proud of myself, but it's not like I have, 20 years of sobriety on my back. I'm still a newbie to all of this, honestly. I am. Think about an 8-year-old or a 3-year-old. They're new to the world. They're just getting to know the world. So I'm just getting to know this whole world of sobriety, and I still am on a methadone program. And, a lot of people are telling me that's not clean, and I understand your point. I do. I know technically it's not. But technically, it saved my life. And technically, if it wasn't for the program, I'd probably be 6 feet under, guys. Who knows? Well, that fentanyl out there, I think God took me out of Hunts Point on the nick of time. It seemed like as soon as I met Chris Arnatti, it's like positive things started happening for me. And it's the truth. I mean, he didn't take me off the street, but as soon as I met him, I wound up leaving Hunts Point. So, like, a month after, not even, that documentary was done in December of 2011. I left January 1st, 2012. Exactly. It was New Year's Eve, and a bunch of us from the house on Seneca got together, and we took a cab to Tito's, and they dropped me off at Tito's. They got paid because, supposedly it was like a hookup, and Millie was there, and Brenda, and these two cousins that were dealers in Hunts Point. They brought me over there, and they were like, yo, man, you guys are going to hook up, and then that was the rest is history. And I've been with Tito ever since. I did leave the house a couple of times and go back to Hunts Point like once or twice, but Tito came back every single time looking for me like crazy and took me back. And I would fight him. I'd be like, no, I don't want to go. I don't want to leave Hunts Point. I was so friggin' used to it, and I just was. All right, guys. I hope everyone has a blessed day. I'll see you guys personally later. You'll see me later on. I'm just feeling a little down in the dumps, It's not easy, guys. Life is hard. Gotta make lemonade. Alright, ciao, guys.